I didn't really have many goals or aspirations at a young age. A lot of people are closed off to so many opportunities.
Mentorships is definitely very, very big.
Since I didn't go to college, that was like my college money. My flipping was able to make me wealthy faster.
This is the Sphere of Influence podcast with your host, Moni. Here we dive into entrepreneur journeys, tips on how to become better entrepreneurs, and how to use social media to promote your business. And joining me today is an amazing entrepreneur who has been featured in shows like Flipping 101 with Tarek El Musa and Selling on Sunset. So please welcome today, Josh Rudy. Josh, thank you so much for joining me. Oh my goodness. You are a realtor, an entrepreneur. You have been featured in many HGTV shows and are the owner of many Airbnbs. Tell me more about where your journey started, and was this always the plan?
Wow, thanks for that amazing introduction. No, this was not always the plan. Just like most people, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't graduate college. I didn't do well in high school. I thought maybe I'll work for my dad. I didn't really have many goals or aspirations at a young age. Just tried to get by with C's as easy as I can, just so I can graduate, and didn't really care. So one day my dad just like casually was like, "Hey, my friend knows this guy. He's teaching real estate on a board game. Like, would you want to go?" And I was apprehensive at first, but I decided to go. It was at Red Robin, back when there were a lot more Red Robins, and him and my dad's friend's son were there, and maybe one other person. It was like he met them on meetup.com, this random guy. His name was Jed August, like the month, he'd always say. And it was interesting. It opened up my mind to what's called mailbox, what he used to call mailbox money. Which is, you're just getting checks in the mail without having to go to work or really doing any work, just setting up systems so money can flow in. And once I realized what that was, it changed my life. We would play weekly this board game, which taught us assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. And there was oil that could triple. You'd buy assets, you would buy income producing businesses, all these types of things to learn business and a bunch of ways to make money. And started playing that game for a while, probably about a year, playing consistently to the point where I was like, I was 18 at the time, just turned 19. I was like, I want to do this in real life. So
Nice.
actually brought one of my best friends, would come consistently with me, and he and I wanted to do this. And my mentor said, "All right, be ready at 4 a.m. I'm going to pick you up on Saturday, and we're going to have a day." So he picked us up. We didn't know what city we were going to. We grew up in Agora Hills, California, like the suburbs of LA, and had never seen anything except for, I would say, like $1 million homes. That's where we grew up. Not very diverse. Didn't see a lot. It's considered the bubble. That's what they call it. So
Right.
he drove us out to Victorville, California. The four cities surrounding are Hesperia, Apple Valley, and Adelanto. And Adelanto, he'd call
hills.
yeah, a lot different. It was at 19 years old. So he'd call Adelanto the redheaded stepchild of Victorville. And we went to Barstow as well, and just tried to figure out which area we liked most, which one had the best numbers. And eventually we went on Craigslist, because back then Craigslist had houses for sale and there were good deals. So there was a house for like, I believe $12,000. And it was like a manufactured home on permanent foundation, a single wide in Adelanto. Went to look at it, checked out the numbers, and they checked out. It was like $12,000 for this property, and you could rent it out for $600-700. So the numbers were crazy. So we started looking in that specific neighborhood, and I ended up buying my first property for $23,000, and it probably needed about $20,000 to fix it up. So my mentor said he was going to fix it up. I did a deal with him 50-50. I put up the money. He ends up fixing it himself. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. Did not fix it up himself. He started doing a little bit, and then it would take so long because he would only work weekends and he had a full-time job. And I should have realized that, but I didn't have the experience to know, okay, this guy's not going to be able to do this for a very long time. So I ended up hiring other people, and he helped me manage it and learn it. And I'd start like writing checks to these people, double my age, $15 an hour to fix the roof and the windows and the floor. And it was just an incredible opportunity and experience for me. And eventually ended up renting that place out for $800 a month. So that was my first experience. And that's how I got started.
Were you funding your first deal?
Since I didn't go to college, that was like my college money that my dad had saved up for me. So started off with that. And then, later on learned what hard money loans are and realized you can fund deals for 10% down, and you can start borrowing money from other people. And you really don't need money to buy real estate. You could borrow it from other people if you have a good deal. So now that's what I do. Don't really use my own money too often.
That's amazing. That's a great start. Like, most people, especially at a young age, that might not have a plan. They just think, money, they see money and they might have gone the wrong way, but you were thinking in a good way, and I mean, obviously also things like that game. Was that the game from Rich Dad Poor Dad?
It wasn't. It's called Millionaire Maker by Laurel Langmeyer.
Oh, okay.
And later on, I ended up meeting her, which was cool, and she signed the game for us. So, full circle. I feel like a lot of things go full circle after 10, 15 years of starting. Like you realize, wow, like this is such incredible opportunities that come from all this.
Yeah, definitely. And that's amazing that your dad had that knowledge and was passing that down to you, because not all parents are savvy or have even that access to that. So it's amazing that he was able to share that with you, and that you were open to it, because also at a young age, you mentioned you weren't just getting by. Sometimes we don't really put attention to those things. So it's amazing that you were still, even though you didn't really want to be there, that you took it in and you were open to it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are closed off to so many opportunities. And I can say I invited 20 to 30 people to these meetings, and one person stuck with it. And that was my friend, Jonathan, who's still doing real estate today as well. And we've been doing flips and have a couple Airbnbs together. So I think that just having an open mind to new things is extremely important. And, we're both successful because of it. And I can tell you that I have a new person. Like now I give back to what my mentor did. And I've been mentoring Patrick Switek. He's become pretty big on Instagram. And I know you also interviewed him. And like from day one to now, just him having me give back all my knowledge that I learned from my mentor, he's been able to just go so much faster. Now he's teaching and has his own mastermind and charging students to teach what I taught him. So it's always giving back. And he's only 26 doing this. So I saw something in him. As I'm sure my mentor saw in me, and not everyone has it, but like you can kind of tell who has that drive.
Definitely. And that's amazing that you're giving back now, just like you said, it's first full circle, right? Like somebody did it to you and you're passing it down, and I'm sure he will pass it down to other people too. So that's amazing. And so how did you end up going in this show? So you started with your first flip in Adelanto, and then what was the next step after that?
Yeah. So I'll tell the rest of the story. So first flip, it wasn't a flip. It was a long-term rental. That's what my mentor was teaching at first. Long-term rentals, don't flip, taxes, blah, blah, blah. He was wrong. But I got started. He taught me a lot, and my flipping was able to make me wealthy faster, right? Because if I had just put all my money in these long-term rentals, it would have taken me years and years and years to make that money back. Whereas I've been flipping, I was able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1 year. And now I can buy multiple rentals instead of a couple. So I believe
Right.
he was wrong there. I do believe in flipping. I believe in wholesaling. I believe in ways to make quick money to build your wealth faster. Even if you do have that tax hit, and there are write-offs, so there's ways to beat the tax system. So I did that. Then I had a tenant that was like, I built houses. I lost everything during the recession, but I have a lot of experience. Why don't you start flipping homes? So he was the reason
Oh,
I started flipping. My tenant, who was
wow.
paying $700 a month in a single wide mobile home. And
Wow.
he had experience. So he was like, let me prove myself. Give me $500 and I will help manage your first flip. Since I had been doing the long-term rentals, I had some leads already, and I found this one lead. He had all the material in the house. I don't remember the price, but I remember it only cost $15,000 to fix because we had all the material. I made $20,000 on the flip. It was probably like a
Nice.
$50,000 house.
And
And
what
that
year
was
was this?
amazing. This was, I believe, 2015, 2016. It was pretty early
Okay.
in my career. Yeah. So I think I started flipping like 3 years in because I got started in 2010. So it's been,
Nice.
I guess, 13 years now. Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I know when you look back, oh my gosh, so much time has passed.
Yeah, I'm 30. So I guess it's been, if I started when I was 19, it's been 11 years, but that's crazy. Anyways, so this guy helped me with that one, did another one for $500. I had never seen $20,000 at once. So that was incredible. He only made 500, but he got his foot in the door. And I think there's also something to be said about like not always working for the money, but for the relationship or the
Right.
experience. And he was able to get that relationship with me. And we probably did 30 plus flips together. And he started getting a percentage of the net profits. He'd get $7,000 here, $10,000 here, and it'd add up. He'd be making a real living, and it's not hard. It was hard to find work out there, and he had a job he loved. So, he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience, and I got to the point where like eventually I could do this on my own, and I did. Got to the point where he and I had differences, and that happens oftentimes with people you've been working with for a while. And I was actually about to let him go, but I got a call from one of my contractors because we didn't know where this guy was for a few days. I said, "Hey, can you just check his house?" He was living in my house. And unfortunately, they found him, and he had passed in the house, um,
Oh,
which was a traumatic experience for all of us. We all had a good relationship with him, friendship with him, and I think it was probably a heart attack. But yeah, he had been in the house for a couple of days. They had to like carry him out, and we did like a funeral together with the team. Like it was a growing experience for us. So that was sad. I had to talk to his family, and I give him a lot for my success. If it wasn't for him, I would not be anywhere I am today. So
wow.
he was a great part of my life. So yeah, and then I had to end up doing this on my own. I started doing it on my own, and everything he taught me, I used, and I had the team now, and it got to the point where all I had to do was buy a house, negotiate with agents or auctions, or through people. Sometimes I would just ask people, do you buy or rent, and keep a database of them. And if they owned or own a rent, if they owned, I'd follow up with them. Hey, do you ever want to sell? So sometimes I would get people through that way. And I would just put my team on. He'd give me a price and sit back until it's done and sell it. Like it would be that simple. It's not rocket science. Once you have a
Right.
team that trusts you, you can give them continuous work. It becomes a lot easier. At the beginning, it's harder because you need to, get multiple quotes. You need someone you can trust. Oftentimes
Right.
people will leave the job halfway through. You don't want to pay too early. Like it could get complicated, but eventually you have someone you trust. It becomes very easy. It just takes time.
Do you have any
So,
horror stories of contractors and
oh yeah, countless stories. Just I can even tell one, a more recent one with Patrick. We had this contractor from Victorville drive out to Joshua Tree. he gave us a quote of about 90,000 for the whole thing. And he was just not showing up, and we had paid him early. And yeah, he ended up needing more money to finish. And we're like, all right, rather than starting over, like he knows this project, let's pay him a little more. He says he needs another week to give him another $5,000. He's like, I need another week. Ended up being another 2 months, to the point he still wasn't done. And he did a lot of stuff wrong. Like, he did the electrical wrong. So all the split systems in the house, like, fried out. So I had to buy them again. And it took a very long time. And I had to hire someone else and paid them another 20, 30K to fix it. And they weren't even great contractors, but it was the guy I trusted. So I think all in all, it probably cost another 100,000 because of time and mistakes.
Right.
So, I mean, it's still a profitable Airbnb, but like that's one story. You know, they all steal. So you have to watch very closely. At the same time, if you're doing so many projects, you can't watch so closely. So you just have to know, like, that's kind of part of it. They may take some of the material, like, you just kind of know that's part of the business at this point. Had other contractors that it's mostly just like them not showing up and just wasting so much time on your money. And I've learned to just fire quick and hire quick. Like, if they're not showing up, move on. Give them like a week, but like, they'll lie to you consistently. You'll tell them to remove all the trash. They'll remove like 75% of it, send you photos, and then you'll go over and there's still trash. So you really need to have people you really trust out there. Sometimes you'll do stuff out of state, so you'll need to have someone that you could trust to check on their work. So those are the horror stories. Nothing like insane. Usually just like $5,000-$10,000 mistakes here and there. So it adds up, but
definitely. Yeah. Those are still really big mistakes, and really high prices to pay for somebody else's mistake at that. So how did you end up going back to, so you started flipping, and then how did this opportunity for you to be on Flip 101 with Tarek Musa came up?
So Flipping 101 was sorry?
Oh, sorry. Or Selling on Sunset came first. Which one came first?
No, Flipping 101 came first. Yeah. So with Tarek El Musa, I used to watch Flip or Flop all the time. Actually, that guy that was my project manager that passed away, he told me about that show, and I'd watch it all the time, and I was a big fan. And I think it really does teach you a little bit about flipping. Obviously, the numbers are skewed a bit, and it's TV, but like, a lot of it is real. So my partner Jonathan saw that Tarek made a story that said, like, if you want to apply to Flipping 101, apply here. And I knew we had a good story. I knew that it was two friends that had worked together from 19, had a mentor. It was a good story. People really resonated with it. So we did our interview. After we wrote a long email about our story. They reached out. They said, we like your story. We want to interview you. And we knew, like, we crushed the interview right away. Like, we practiced it a lot right before, and they really liked us. Like, they almost told us, like, during the interview, like, you're on, basically. So
nice.
Eventually we get the email, like, you're on the show. You just need to find a house, and it can't be more than an hour away from Tarek because he's not driving, and he lives in Orange County. So downtown, like, was like the furthest he would go, and like LA, or like Pomona is where we ended up finding the house, or Orange County, Newport Beach, that kind of thing. So we ended up finding a place in Pomona, thinking, okay, even if we are overpriced on this property, we're going to get on TV. So we did it. We had never bought out in LA together. It was only like the high desert, Victorville area, and kind of nervous, like, went to see the house. And I literally told Jonathan, I was like, we are going to lose money on this deal. Like, I don't see the value in this house. I think that this is a way bigger project than we thought. The backyard was horrible, and that was no further than the truth. We ended up crushing it. But we went on the show. We go to the house with the producers. It was like surreal. We see cameras. We're like, oh my God, this is crazy. I was extremely nervous. We did breathing exercises in the car right before, just to calm down. and being a huge fan of Tarek, we were really nervous for him to show. And eventually like he shows up in his like SUV van with his driver. It's like this black Mercedes Sprinter van that he always has everywhere. And they were like, all right, Tarek's here. So I like did some more breathing exercises outside real quick. And he walks in, we meet him off camera for real quick, but it was like literally like 10-second meeting that we're getting straight to filming. Like they didn't really tell us what to do or anything like that. They're just like, all right, walk over. Tarek's gonna be waiting for you in the house.
As raw as possible then.
Yeah, exactly. So we walk over to Tarek, we meet him on camera, like we're like already on, like it's crazy. I'm pretty nervous. He's asking us questions about the house, do a little walkthrough. That's like episode 1. That's like the first segment. We go back like 5-6 times filming for like update videos. And like, I think the 3rd or 4th episode, his at the time fiance, Heather Ray Young, who's now Heather El Moussa, the star of Selling Sunset, which was my COVID show I watched. So I was very excited when they told me Heather was going to come. And, you know, we showed her a little walkthrough and I was able to prove Tarek wrong on something because Heather agreed with me. That was cool. And, that was how I met Heather. And then, she came back a couple more times. She came back for the final episode walkthrough and she's really sweet. They're both like extremely nice, humble people, who just like kind of came from nothing and made it on TV and became like big business men and women together, like a power couple. They now have their own show together, which is awesome. And basically the last episode, I had built this incredible house in Studio City, learning from all my flipping times. I bought my own principal residence in Studio City, fixed it up, like put 600,000 into it, bought it for 1.1. And I showed it to Heather. I knew this house was special. It had views, 25-foot ceilings. I made it incredible. And I knew if Heather sees this, she's going to want to put this, take this listing and potentially want it to be on Selling Sunset. Like I just had a feeling, I know I'm going to get on Selling Sunset if I show this to Heather. Heather right away, like said, I would take this listing. Actually, I think that would be good for Selling Sunset. She literally said it right away. So I was like, okay, cool. Awesome. So I have my meeting with Heather and Tarek shows up to the house and Jason Oppenheim. They all come to this house. And I couldn't believe it. Like they were all like my stars, like everyone I looked up to was there. So we walked through, Jason's pretty critical of like, oh, you need to put artwork here. You need to put something here. Like, if you want to sell this house, we need to do this. And then he's like, I always told them, I think this house is worth 2.2 million. Jason walks through and goes, I think you should list this at 1.8. I'm like, I really think that's too low. He's like, if it's worth more, it'll sell for more. In 2020, that's what the market was doing. Everything was selling over asking. There was bidding wars. There was low inventory. So everyone was going to put an offer in if they liked it. There wasn't a lot of options. So I told him, no, like 1.8 is too low. Let's go higher. He's like, the lowest I'll go is 1.9. I'm like, all right, fine. Like I'll still be a little profitable and I'll get all my cash out so I can do more investments because I was really tied up with cash. And they put it on the market at 1.9 and, you know, probably 100 showings in the first week. It was crowded with people. And ended up getting an offer at 1.15 and 1.175. And I took the 1.175, which was 275,000 over asking. And that was my first like incredible profit. That was like life-changing money, able to buy more investment properties, able to fund all my Airbnbs. So that was awesome. So what did you
profit on that project?
With all the interest and the time I was also living there for a bit. It was over 300,000 because I had to pay commission and closing costs and all that. But yeah, over 300,000, and I got to live there for free for a bit.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then after I sold it, I was like, all right, like, can we get this on Selling Sunset? And the producer said yes. So I called the buyer and I'm like, can I get this on the show? And he was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I don't want cast and crew in here. I have, my wife is in Hollywood. I don't want anyone to know who she is or what's going on with our relationship, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, are you
Yeah.
serious? Like all that, and I can't get on. So then Heather calls me a few weeks later and says, hey, like, would you want to like be my client for this episode? Like, we can have you as the buyer for a walkthrough. And I was like, yeah, that's amazing. So they gave me like 1 day notice, and I showed up at this incredible $4 million house with, I think there was 5 other stars from Selling Sunset there with all their clients. And we did our walkthroughs, and Mary was the like open house agent there. And I did my walkthrough with Heather, and I learned from Flipping 101 that you want to disagree. You want to create controversy to get TV time, to get people to like it. So that's what I did. I kind of shit on the house a bit, even though it was beautiful, found all the problems, and I talked poorly about how it was just like normal stucco and it wasn't smooth stucco.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about how the fence was not upgraded. And those were real issues. Like if you're going to put millions of dollars into a house, you should probably,
do a better job
not,
areas.
fix it all, because those things will stand out. And that was my 10 seconds that they put on, was just me kind of arguing with Mary, and then Mary like talking about how I don't know what I'm talking about, which is awesome. I love proving people wrong. And, I talked to the producers there, and I was like, hey, like, do you still want to film at my house? Like I can reach out to this guy again and see if we can film. So I called the guy again, and I was like, if I give you $5,000, would you let me film at my house? And he said yes. So we recreated, the first walkthrough with Jason and Heather. Tarek wasn't in the reshoot, and it wasn't Jason, it was Brett actually that walked through. And I did the whole, I was nervous again because they set up in my old garage. It was awesome to be back in the house. And we did another little walkthrough of me telling them about the house. They're telling me what they want to list for. I'm arguing. And then like Heather and Brett have this like dramatic scene talking about how what's going to happen if Jason and Chriselle break up. And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure this house is getting on. I tell all my friends that I'm going to be on. Then Chriselle shows up, and they do a scene with Chriselle talking about all the drama. So I'm like, I'm positive like this is going to be on. Then I wait like about a year. It comes out at midnight, and I like flip through all the episodes to see if I'm on. And like, I was on episode 7 walking through the other house, but they cut the entire thing out. I paid that $5,000 for nothing, except for all they did was like a slideshow of I sold Josh's house. And then they call me to say, hey, do you want to match the offer of 4 million? I said, no. That was it. So I kind of got screwed. I was excited, but like, and I think that would have been like a game changer, seeing like my own house on TV and being able to show people what I did. But I mean, I still was on Selling Sunset. I still try and use that as promotion here and there, but like, it wasn't what I was hoping for. But yeah, I was still on Selling Sunset. I can still say that. And my house was still on Selling Sunset for the slideshow. So.
Yeah. And so how was it working with Tarek, and how was that experience? Did it help you learn team?
Yeah, it did. It did help me a little bit. So I had the experience already, but like the whole point of that show was I'm going to take these 2 rookie flippers who were in the desert and do their first flip in LA. So that was the premise of the show. And he did teach me a little bit of things here and there that I still keep with me. And, the first time I met him, the first day of filming, he, I believe was smoking the vape a lot, because I think he was addicted to nicotine at the time. And he had been overworked. He was stressed, and he showed me like a side of him that like seemed a little diva. Like I was like, man, Tarek, you're really a lot right now. He like walked off during filming, and my first impression was not great. But then like the next time he filmed, he actually asked me, what was your first impression of me? I told him. They didn't put this on TV, but I like straight up told him like, yeah, I thought you were a diva at first. I was a little shocked by how you were acting, but I understand you're a busy guy, and like you really like turned it around and like showed me how much you care and how great you are. He invited us without us asking into his Sprinter van just to give us knowledge and free advice to just go in his car. He really cared. And he's like one of the most genuine, nice celebrities I think there is out there. Like super cool guy. And then like Heather, same thing, super sweet, genuinely cares. And she's not fake at all. And like would really open up. Like I got all the tea on Selling Sunset, like when I was just talking to her filming. So it was cool because like I was a big fan. So I'd ask questions. She was just like an open book. So we're both just normal family people. They just had a kid together. And she like helped, take care of Tarek's kids or just be like a second mom. So, and she really loves them and really genuinely loves him. And they're both just like the coolest power couple.
Yeah, they seem like that is all there. Everything is there for them. They seem like such sweet people overall. So that's amazing that you got to experience that. And so I know that from your experience and what you've gathered, for people that are trying to go out there and do what you do in the real estate side and flipping, like what are some tips that you could share with them to maybe help them, like especially for those just getting started? What are some things that you would share with them to help their journey?
Well, for me, it was having a mentor, having somebody there for me to teach me, show me contracts, and really show me the way. So I would say like find a mentor, reach out to people. People want to help. If you can't find somebody, there's resources. Like Patrick is selling his mastermind and charges per hour for questions. I don't really charge for that kind of thing. There's people that won't. So, just reach out to people. I think the number one thing is like learn, watch videos. There's so much free content out there. If you can't afford to pay, I think you'll get there faster if you do pay and have the one-on-one, but there's a lot of free content out there. And I think just start making offers, make relationships. For me, the best way to find deals is like making a relationship with an agent, telling them you want them to represent you, telling them you're looking for something off market, and just making as much offers as possible. I just made an offer for a house that they were asking $1,150,000, and I got it for $920,000. And it was about a year of going back and forth with this person. They started at 1.4, they kept lowering the price and got it for $920,000. So I could probably wholesale that for $1 million, and that's a quick $80,000. I'm sure that's life-changing money for a lot of people getting started. If you find you can even find a wholesaler if you don't know how to wholesale and do a split with them. Hey, can you wholesale this for me? There's people that'll do 50-50, 60-40. So if you're making 60% of that $80K, that's huge money. That's just making offers. And maybe partnering if you don't have the deposit or you don't have the money to show like proof of funds, partner with somebody, find somebody that does have the proof of funds. That's where the mentor comes in, I think. And that's how I was able to help Patrick out, because he didn't have any money and he was making offers using my proof of funds and utilizing me. So I think that's the biggest thing, is find that person that can really help you and teach you and guide you and be that rock for you. Because if you're out on your own, people aren't potentially going to take you too serious if you don't know what you're talking about. So having that person, that's why a lot of real estate agents have a mentor at first. And you're part of a team because you can utilize them to come to these listing appointments and really help. And then you'll be around them and learn, and eventually you don't need them.
Right. Yeah. Mentorships is definitely very, very big. If you could get it free or if you have to pay for it, I mean, it's definitely something worth spending on. So from there, you went into Airbnb, and you have a few Airbnbs in Joshua. Are they all in Joshua Tree now?
Yeah, Joshua Tree area. So Morongo Valley, Yucca Valley, and Joshua Tree.
And how was that for you, that experience? And what do you tell me more about that experience with Airbnb?
So I actually wanted to get into Airbnb for a while. I had been flipping for so long that I was like, I don't know what's going to happen this year. COVID happened. You don't know what's going to happen with the market. It's been hot so long. What happens when the market changes? What am I going to do? I need income somewhere else. So I had seen and heard so many people crushing it with Airbnb around 2020, 2021. because of COVID. And I would look at the Airbnb prices because I wanted to get out of the house. I wanted to bring some people together in a home. And I would see like $1,000 a night in Desert Hot Springs, $1,500 a night in Joshua Tree, crazy prices. Now that I've been doing this for a few years, I know that was not the real prices. That was just COVID pricing. Prices have come back down to life. But if you have something special and stand out, you can still get some really, really good returns. And I had met Patrick Switek, who I mentored, at a party, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually buying my first property." And I was like, "Oh, like I actually flip houses. I've done about 100." And it's like, we should work together. So he had learned Airbnb already because he used to work at one of the bigger companies, Avant Stay, and helped scale that business for them. And he was buying his first Airbnb, and I was like, "Yeah, let's work together. Let's buy our first Airbnb." So I bought, actually, the first property we bought was an Airbnb. Second one was a flip. So I taught him flipping. He taught me Airbnb. And like the deal was 50-50, 10% interest that he has to pay me. And I get all my money back before he gets any money. So he was open to that because it got his foot in the door to own property. Like if it goes up in value, he gets that net profit. And he also was able to now show people I own property, and that really legitimized him in the space of being a teacher and a coach. So now he has like 8 of them, right? So he wasn't able to do that without finding a mentor. So I believe like it's very, very important to find that person. And Patrick would be that for somebody as well now, which is awesome.
So how many properties, Airbnb properties do you have?
Currently, I have 10 properties that are either ready on Airbnb or on its way. And I think I have an 11th in escrow and potentially 12th. Yeah. I mean, we're scaling quickly. We're raising money. I actually might move out to Joshua Tree because I love it so much, and my business is out there. Nice. And actually, after doing that with Patrick, we bought 4 together. We've been managing them for about a year now. We learned what does well and what doesn't do well, which we didn't know going in. It's the secluded homes. It's the ones with all the amenities, but secluded is like the most important. Like if you're in a neighborhood, it's very hard. So we had one in a neighborhood that was negative cash flow. So what did we do? You find the best of the best. We found an incredible designer named Bridget Whitney. Her Instagram is It's Bridget Bitch. And I had been seeing all her posts for a while. And she did like her apartment went viral, and hired her. And she turned Casamigo into that pink disco house, and she turned it pink. She put disco balls everywhere. She found like a van, like a buggy, and painted it blue, put it in the backyard and put planters in it. She found a mannequin, put a disco ball on its head, like just made it very funky and different. And that's what, made us stand out and she made like a selfie room in the garage, where like people will take photos, and like now it's almost like that selfie house, like bachelorette parties are there, and it's like doubled the income. And it was only like 30-40K with material and paying for the designer. And she charges way more now, but like that was her price just to like get her foot in the door. So,
That's amazing. I was going to ask about that design because it's beautiful. The designs on your property, especially that one that you mentioned, I noticed, and I was like, oh my God, did you design that? But obviously you had some help there, but that is amazing. It's a beautiful property.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we always hire designers, because, Casamigo, we did ourselves and it failed. As much as I've done flips and I've been able to design flips, it's a whole nother animal when it comes to furniture and cohesiveness and colors and all that. So, having a designer, we have this other person named Nick, and she's incredible. Nicolette Interiors, I believe is her name. And she's been incredible for us. She did Petite Noir for us. That does 100,000. It's a 2-bedroom, 100,000 gross. And we just did one called Moonstone Bungalow that's launching next month. Ended up putting 700,000 into it. And there's like a basketball court and a pickleball court, fire pit, fireplace. This is all outdoors. Big pergola and big pool. It's absolutely incredible. You'll have to check out Moonstone Bungalow on Instagram. It's going to be like at least 1,500 a night for weekends, probably more for most weekends. And I'm hoping it makes 400,000 gross, and we'll be into it at 1.5 plus interest.
That's amazing. And so you don't believe then the Airbnb is dead, like a lot of people are claiming out there?
Airbnb is dead if you are an average person coming in, buying a house, putting $30,000 into furniture and putting a hot tub and a cowboy pool in the backyard. It won't succeed. It just won't with these interest rates and these prices. However, if you find a house like I did for 750,000 and put 700 and make it absolutely incredible, it has 7 bedrooms. So if you look at supply and demand, there's a very low supply of 7-bedroom homes. There's probably less than 5 for real. And it legally sleeps 18 because there's 2 houses, and the law is you can only sleep 12. But because there's 2 houses, I sleep 12 in one of them, 6 in the other. So I legally can sleep 18 people in this house. So nice. The competition will, unless they do the same thing and have 2 houses there, there's not going to be competition there. So I look at the holes. I look at what succeeds still. And there's incredible homes in Joshua Tree, but there's not hundreds. There's hundreds of average homes. So if you go with the high design, high furniture, incredible amenities, you have to do a pool, you have to do any sort of water feature, you have to do a hot tub, and you have to have like a bunch of amenities. Hopefully, like if you could be by the boulders, you'll do really well. So you have to stand out. You can't look like all the other homes, and it's not dead. And I have a management company out there. Patrick and I have been doing it for 6 months now, and we've seen which ones fail and which ones don't. And I believe that we are incredible at what we do. I really do. We stand out against the competition, and we've seen what other numbers do. We do really well. We've been in masterminds. We've seen what other people do, and we're really good at what we do. And there's some that we can't even do well on. So it's not the management, it's the house, or it's the amenities, or it's the time of year. And if like we realize if you don't have any water feature in the summer, it doesn't matter if we're priced at $80 a night, because we'll move it that low and it still wouldn't run. We had a client tell us like, we're offended that you think our property is only worth 80 a month. And we're like, sorry, but like, that's what the market tells us right now during this time. Unless you want to put a cowboy pool in, we're not going to be able to get more for you. As you can see, it's not even renting for that. And here's our advice for you. Like, you could take it or leave it. A lot of people just like to blame others, but it's like, it's not us. It's the market. We had our own property that was not doing well, that was doing well before summer. We added the cowboy pool. Instantly, it was doing well again. So, we've seen what does well and what doesn't well, and people need to trust us. And a lot of times they don't. And like, yeah, the Airbnb bust that people are saying is for people to get content. And it is true when it comes to average homes, but that's not what Airbnb is about. If you're going to Joshua Tree, some people do want to go to the park and that's it, and they'll just stay anywhere. But a lot of those people are camping. Most people that are going to Joshua Tree want to stay in a cool Airbnb with all their friends and have a weekend together. And that's what most of our clients or our guests are doing, is they're going to the remote locations with the amenities, and they just want to chill and cook and have a good time. And most of the times beyond mushrooms.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people that you're talking about too are coming from the mentality of like 2020, right? Where the market was so hot that anything was, you said the numbers were really, really high, and that was in reality, but it was because there was a surplus of need in the market for Airbnbs. But
right. And it's hard for them to change their mindset when they saw other numbers, but it's like, how can you think you're going to do the same when there's such a surplus of Airbnbs now? Everyone is doing it. You have to stand out now, and you have to understand that you're not going to be making the same amount of money because there's another one that's better than yours now that they can choose instead of yours. So right. You have to be better. You have to stand out.
And for those people getting started on Airbnb, what would you tell those people? Like, what would be your advice for them?
If you're in Joshua Tree, call me and Patrick. We will guide you through the entire process. We will help manage for you. We'll teach you what does well and what doesn't do well. Trust the experts, right? Don't just buy a house because you like it and you think it's cute and if you vibe with it. Like, you have to understand that that house may not do. I just told someone recently, they called me and I straight up told them, that's not the house I would have bought. I would have bought this one. And they're like, well, we went and we love it and we fell in love with it. I'm like, okay, like if you want to buy it, sure, we'll manage it. It'll do all right. But like, you should buy one that has a view, or you should buy one that is near boulders, or you should buy one that is remote without a neighbor for, a quarter of a mile where people feel secluded. That's what they want. This person didn't listen and I haven't heard from them because I had to tell them, like, you're probably going to fail. And that price is really not that good. So like, just listen to the experts, and listen to this podcast. I'm sure this podcast, other podcasts, like, we're giving you free advice and we've done this. Listen to the people that have done this.
Yeah. I think that's one of the major things when you're looking at mentors and especially if you're thinking of spending some money, like, look at what they're doing. Are they actually doing it or are they just talking about it? Because somebody could talk all they want about something, but if they're not applying it and they don't have anything to show for it, then maybe those are the ones that you don't want to spend your money on. But, the ones that are doing it and that are being successful and that show proof, then those are the people you want to go with, like Josh and Patrick. And, there's so many other out there doing it and being successful. So What would you say you're averaging, like, for your income from Airbnb at the moment?
I would like to say my whole management portfolio, because that's going to be a bigger variety. Okay. But I can tell you, like, Pink Disco House, if you want to look on Instagram, it's that Pink Disco House. I don't know how, but Bridget posted a few times and it's getting followers every day without us even posting or anything. It's blowing up. It's got like 2,600 followers. That one was making about 40, maybe less, like 30, 40,000 a year. And now it's making 70, 80,000. Like, it's doubled from putting 30K in. So that's just how important design is, and making something unique and finding the right people to do it. And stop thinking that you can do it yourself, because there are people that specialize in this. That one makes about 70. And then there's one called Oasis. And that one makes, it's on pace. Once we took over, it was on pace for 200,000. And now, since Patrick and I have taken over, it's on pace for 300,000. So that house sleeps 16, and it's amazing. But it's not. And they designed it themselves. They might have brought a designer, but it's not incredible. Like, they didn't have this insane budget. It's just there's supply and demand. There's not a lot that sleeps 16. And it has a pool, and they added a pickleball court, and they have 4 bedrooms and then 1 ADU, and they have a gym also. And it's nice, but it's not wow. Like the one Moonstone Bungalow, that's wow. And we'll see how that does. I'm hoping for 400,000 because I saw that one doing 3 and it sleeps 18 instead of 16. And then there's like kind of nice ones that are only doing like 50, 60,000 because they're not crazy. Like, it didn't even have a cowboy pool. It just had the hot tub, and it just has nice design and it's cute, but like that isn't doing as well anymore. It's just not. Unless you got in at a low price back when they were selling for like 200, 250. But if you go in now, that same house is going to be 450, 500 with higher interest rates. So your payment's going to be more than double. You can't succeed. That's why things aren't selling on the market. Airbnbs are not selling on the market. But I can tell you which ones are going to do well. I've had clients come, I'm like, yep, I've seen houses do 150,000 that are 2 bedrooms with a view and a pool with high-end design. Buy that one for 700,000, 800,000, put in 100. That's a good deal. Like, if you can make 150 on 800, 900, do it. Especially when rates go down.
Right. But right now, so if somebody were to come to you and tell you, okay, so I'm looking for Joshua Tree, right? And what can they expect to buy and what can they expect to profit?
So right now, Patrick and I are selling Petit Noir because we need cash because we now know better how to do even better and what areas do well and what we're looking for that we want to even break even, get our cash out and do it again because we're even better at it now. So you can buy that one. We're asking $650, but we got offered $575, and honestly, we'd probably take it at this point just because we know like what's happening with the market. Like it's a good deal for the buyer and it's good for us because we get our money back. It's a win-win, and we'd be managing for them. So like it makes 100,000 on 575. I think that's solid. Or you can buy a house for 300,000 and put in. I mean, to do an Airbnb right in a neighborhood anywhere, you have to at least have 150K like cash or like get a hard money loan and refi, which we call Burster. I think Patrick came up with that, like buy, Burster. Rehab, rent, repeat, refinance, repeat, and then STR is just STR, but like he just puts a bunch of R's. So we do that, Burster. Sometimes we get some cash back. Sometimes you can even get all your cash back. For example, there's one that I bought for $232. I think it's worth $550. We're putting $120 in. If it appraises at $550, we'll almost get all our cash out. So it's almost like a free Airbnb.
Yeah.
Wow. If you have an investor, you can pay them back pretty quickly in that case. And then you own it yourself, depending on what you structure.
Right. That's amazing. And so, and I know that you mentioned, so are all your properties on social media, and how are you using social media to promote your business?
So not all the properties. Some of them are just so average that it's not worth even putting on there. Like someone's going to see it and like, why would they book it unless they're looking for like a cheap place? Otherwise they'll just find that on Airbnb. I think that like for Moonstone Bungalow, Pink Disco House, Loma Vista, another one of ours, we have some really good, cool ones that, you know, you make reels, you make content. Our Stays You Like Instagram, that's our company name, Stays You Like. That one, just, you know, we make reels all the time for our clients, and we sometimes can get like 10K plus views, and that's a good way to get more followers. That's a good way to get our name out. So we use social media mainly to just get more followers, and potentially we get more management clients that way. We can help out getting our clients booked. If someone falls in love with the house, sends it to their friend and they book it. Sometimes they'll do a trip just because of that Instagram post. So there's some companies that specialize in that. We're one of them. And our manager, Carly, that we hired is like absolutely incredible at making reels. So we definitely utilize social media, and we see even like DMing, use it like to get more clients, DMing different Airbnb homes that are being managed by people. Say, hey, if you're ever looking for a management company, we'd love to chat with you. So we've been able to actually get leads just through social media by DMing and seeing other people's work.
Awesome. And so along the way and along your journey, what do you think has been the worst piece of advice that you've ever received?
I'd say my mentor saying, don't ever flip, just buy and hold forever. I think that wasn't good advice. Worst piece of advice. I'm sure there was a ton. I like to like not listen to people, to be honest. On the show, Tarek told me not to add a closet and just keep the small closet for the master. I added a closet. I'm happy I didn't listen to that advice, because I think in a master bedroom, you need to have closet. That's the person purchasing the home. They need closet space. Women have a lot of clothes. Like there's no way a man in a woman's clothes would have fit in that closet. So I'm glad I didn't listen to Tarek there. My parents told me not to buy the one that went on Selling Sunset, and that I'm out of my mind. People told me not to buy the Airbnb business that I did. I just love proving people wrong. I feel like I continuously do it. I think the worst advice that I ever heard was go to college. If anybody knows me, they know I'm not a school person. They know that I'm not one to follow rules, and you know, they should have known, like, maybe this guy would have done better in sales. Maybe this guy would have done better at investing or leading or starting a business, rather than going to school and conforming to what most people do. And that's just not me. So I'd say if I would have went to college, I would have wasted my money. I wouldn't have had money to buy my Airbnbs and my flips and my rentals at the beginning. And I would have wasted a lot of time. All that time that I was learning real estate, I would have been in college, probably partying and just trying to get by and not paying attention and wasting all that money. So for me, at least, college didn't make sense. For many people, it makes sense. Obviously, you needed to go to medical school. You needed to be a lawyer. You needed to be to get most jobs. But I wasn't one to work for someone else. I think Patrick's built the same way as me. Sometimes we'll butt heads because he doesn't like, at the beginning when I was like kind of above him as the mentor, he didn't like working as the person managing for me for free. He hated it, hated being told what to do, hated being told, why aren't you doing this? What are you doing that? Like there's people that are not that way. We're not built that way. So yeah, I think that would be the worst thing. And I remember one day just telling my parents, not even asking, I'm dropping out of community college and I'm going full-time real estate. And
how did they take that?
Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Like they kind of just took it. Wasn't like a big deal. I don't think my dad believed in me at the time. I think my mom always did, but I think now he does. I've proved him wrong so many times. There's no way he could still be like, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? And now we're looking to buy another business. And I told him about it and he said, okay. Like he didn't say, what are you doing or anything like that. So.
Well, you've proven yourself by this point and you're being successful and, so there's nothing for him to be able to say no. But why do you think he didn't believe in you at that point?
I think because he hadn't seen it done. And I think until you've seen it done, it's hard to believe somebody. Even with Patrick, he wants to charge like $25,000 for his mastermind. And for me, I'm like, dude, you're crazy. And he charged like $4,000 or $5,000 for a 10-week course for people. And I was like, dude, how are you going to do that? Like you never really taught that many people. How are you going to do this? And he did it. He sold 10 people on it. He brought a lot of value to them and he made 40 grand, like quick in 10 weeks, 1 hour a week. And I was shocked. So he's opened my mind to maybe you could get the 25,000. Like, I was like, it seems high. Maybe you could sell more people at 10,000 than the 25,000. But, and like at the end of the day, I believe Patrick's bringing value because I have seen the value Patrick's brought to me in our Airbnb business. And when we bought our business originally, it was a shit show. It was not ran properly. The two managers that were there were leaving. So we didn't have anybody there to help us, that we didn't know the homes, and it was awful. And Patrick created these systems and ended up hiring these virtual assistants to run our business. Took a couple months before they really got a hang of it. But now I've seen what these virtual assistants are doing for us. And I'm on this call for an hour without checking my phone. And there was a time where I couldn't even work out because I was so worried that I wasn't going to be able to respond to a guest really quick or help out in some way with the virtual assistants asking us questions. And now we're in a place where we have two amazing managers. We have 5 virtual assistants and things are running very smoothly. Our clients are happy. Properties are doing well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And Patrick has so much knowledge. It's insane how young he is and how together he is, but he started also very, very young. I think he started at 14 with his very first business. So he's an amazing individual to learn from. And I don't doubt it that he will be charging those, that price for his mastermind. I know he's doing really well too. With his event coming up, STR Nation, right?
STR Nation, yeah. When I'm going to be there. You going to be there?
I am, yeah.
Awesome. So I'll meet you there.
Yeah, definitely. So are you presenting there as well, or are you just supporting?
I'm not. And Patrick hasn't even put me on his podcast yet. I don't know what he's doing. But he's going to have me teach in his mastermind. Yeah, but I'm excited. He'll have me teach on his mastermind. And like, it's kind of crazy. Like the value I gave him, now I'm going to be teaching in his mastermind. He's going to pay me. So it's like all full circle.
Wow.
And actually another thing that was full circle, I was saying full circle at the beginning, is that mentor at the beginning would play Hotel California every drive up. like probably multiple times. And now, like 10 years later, my partner Jonathan and I just bought an Airbnb a couple of years ago, and we finished it. We named it Hotel California. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
you know,
Wow. That's amazing. You've had such a beautiful and amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing it. I'll finish up with a quick little fire round, and it'll just be 6 questions, but whatever
okay.
comes to mind. So, what is one thing you wish you knew when you started your journey?
I wish I would have known what the market was going to do and that it was all going to just like go up so much. I wish I knew about my mom's credit line earlier. I wish I knew about borrowing money, because I would have just bought so many homes and kept them as rentals and sold them when everything 3x'd. So I would have done that. I would have, I wish I knew about Airbnb earlier, because, I would have bought in Joshua Tree from the beginning instead of Alonso, Victorville. And I actually had some long-term rentals there. I would have rather them had been in Joshua Tree, because that market has exploded because of the Airbnb game out there now. And I would have bought all the coolest properties and held on to them. And I would have told my family to get in as well. And yeah, that's probably what I would have done, is just borrowed more money and got into more debt, which a lot of people, that's also one of the worst advices people told me: don't get in debt.
Yeah.
Get in debt in the right places. Don't get in credit card debt. But.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people think, rack up your credit card buying clothes and dumb stuff. But that's not going to make you money. Get in debt where it's going to bring you back your money. So definitely. What is one of the most challenging projects that you worked on, and what did it teach you?
The most challenging project was definitely the one that made it on Selling Sunset. That one had structural issues. In order to make it into a legal 3-bedroom, I needed to break pylons, I believe they're called, 20-foot pylons underground, and restructure things. And I had to make decisions to get rid of a beautiful loft in order to make more space. And I put a sauna in the closet. All these decisions were so tough, and I think I made most of the right ones. And that was a tough project. That was my first project that I put in $600K plus. And that project taught me, how to do Moonstone Bungalow and what I'm capable of, and hiring the right people, what it can do for you. And that one taught me the most, because now I know how to do luxurious properties, and I have that under my belt, and I can show that to investors now of what I've done. So I think a resume really is important too, in order to get investors.
Definitely. And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received as an entrepreneur?
Leverage. I learned that probably from my mentor originally, and I think Patrick already had that, but I definitely told him about that as well. And I think a lot of people try to save money and do everything on their own, but you can't be everywhere at once. And if you want to scale, you need help, you need a team. And I think that, just prove that with our company Stays You Like, hiring these virtual assistants to do everything. Now it's freed up time for us to build luxurious properties and find more clients, and spend our time on the phone with our clients and new clients versus being in the business. Now we're working on the business. So I think in order to be ultra successful, you need to work on your businesses and not in them.
What is one of the most satisfying aspects of what you do?
The most satisfying would be, to me, probably giving people work. I really enjoy when people appreciate the work I'm giving them, the opportunities I'm giving, the mentorship I'm giving, and seeing the short-term rental Airbnbs finished after months and months, sometimes years of, a thought to completion is very satisfying. And going there with your friends and enjoying what took you so many months and so much time and energy, that is extremely satisfying. And just reposting today some of the content for Moonstone Bungalow and people's reactions to what we were able to accomplish is incredible. That's
amazing. And then if you had one message for all the new entrepreneurs, what would it be, especially for those that are trying to do what you do?
Get in action. Stop. Eventually you have to stop watching these videos. Eventually you need to just do it. Make offers and get surrounded by the right people. I think most people have heard, like, the people you surround yourself is who you'll become. And it's very true. I've seen people leave best friends because they were holding them back, and it really helped them. So I think just do it, make offers and get connected with people. Go to different events, right? I think that's super important. Go to STR Nation events, meet Patrick. He'll talk to you. He'll give you advice. DM me on Instagram. My Instagram's josh.rudin. I respond. I give advice. If you have a deal, I'll look at it. So I believe that is the best thing to do.
Well, I think one of the most important things that we really touched on today is really set yourself up for success is having the right people, the right mentors, and the right mindset to get to where you want to be. So if you guys are trying to get into real estate or trying to get into Airbnb, get yourselves the right people in your corner so that you guys are successful instead of taking longer to get there. So I also wanted to give a big shout out to Studio R45 for making this podcast happen today. I appreciate you guys. And for everybody out there, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast today. If you did, please subscribe and follow. And thanks for listening. And Josh, for anybody that wants to get a hold of you, where can they get a hold of you? Where can they reach you if they want to know more about having them manage their Airbnb, or if they want to know about real estate, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can just DM me on Instagram, josh.rudin, or email me, josh@staysyouLike.com. It stays and then the word you, not the letter. So that's how you can get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for listening again, and we'll see you on the next one.